Here we got more on Benjamin Hallows. You are listening and watching to a special podcast. Please stay tuned. Thank you. Rosemary was still singing. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at. Up, up, up the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. When the rabbit hole closes up, when the time always stops short, then the Cheshire Cat smiles at you. We're all mad here, can't you see too? When the Queen of Hearts loses her head, when a Jabberwocky lets its death, here the Cheshire Cat appears again. We're all mad here, just like you. Ring around the rosy pocket full of posy. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. The inspector and Dirge were really hiding from her. Rosemary was continuing to sing as she looked around for them. Dirge couldn't help but chuckle. However, the inspector shushed him. Shh, if she finds us here, we're dead. How can you not enjoy this? Oh, my God, this is just too exciting, he said. So they listened in for her closing in as she sang, ring around the rosy, what are we supposed to be gonna do about the darkness in which we drown? Ring around the rosy, this evil thing, it knows me. Lost souls surround them, I can't fall down. As soon as she finished the last part, she stepped into blood. The inspector grinned menacingly. He pulled out his gun, pointed at her, and yelled, "All right, Gypsy, time to die." However, his eyes widened when he saw a gun from one of the minions levitated next to her. Game over, Inspector, Rosemary said. The inspector lowered his weapon. He laughed nervously. That's not fair. You're being very deceptive, young lady. Then Rosemary let the gun trigger off, sending the inspector to the ground. It didn't hit him in the stomach, but it got him down. It shot him in one of his thighs, in his knee, and also in his shoulder. He collapsed down. Ben and Taylor watched at this intense scene. Dirge was helpless watching this happen. The inspector was twitching a bit, twitching in his madness state. He looked up at Rosemary. She had her legs between him. It seems I win, you lose,
Now you have a big fat bruise, now don't you?
The inspector growled. "Little witch!" he cried out. He tried using his artificial limb, but then it got broke apart in pieces. "No! You witch! How dare you! My limb! Do you know how long it got me to get this? How dare you! I will kill you!" He reached with his other free hand. However, his wrist broke and he cried out in pain. "Just you wait. See what happens to you. You little lassie. Murderous lassie. See what happens. I won't forget you. I'll come find you, Rosemary Fury."
We'll see about that. However, I believe maybe someone needs a little bit of his eyesight for much longer. Or maybe one eye in particular.
That's when she used her telekinetic force. Dirge looked around. Just then, the left part of his eye began to fuzz, and then, pop! He cried out in pain. Rosemary grinned. Taylor looked like he wanted to throw up. Ben did his best to stay calm, but he felt like he was going to wet himself. Humorous as that sounded, this was serious. He hadn't seen anything this terrifying since the escape from Marcello's labs. Those horrible labs. And how Rosemary broke down in a rage. Actually, they all did. This was a long time he'd seen something like this. Taylor looked at him. "You look like you're not even scared." "Oh, believe me, Taylor, I've seen this before. This is much more worse than the first time." Dirge was screaming and flaring his arms. "I'll kill you! What you did to my minions, what you did to them, I will kill you, even for this."
Fun's over. You got a big fat bruise. Even though I win, and that's not fair to you, you should pull my hair. You know, maybe it's my turn to pull your hair,
Rosemary said. With her telekinetic force, she grabbed Dirge by his hair, twisted it around. He was screeching in pain. The inspector was suffering as well from his scalpel. From the scalp on his head, he began to feel some sort of blood, something warm on his head. Blood was oozing from there. Even Dirge was screaming, "Ah, bloody, blimey, there's blood. There's so much of it coming out. What the hell are you trying to do? You're trying to make us bald or something?"
In the most extreme way, yes. What? It'll be a nice little haircut for you. Wouldn't it?
It hurts. It hurts. Dirge cried out.
Oh, you're such a little baby. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. How tragic, isn't it?
The inspector tried to cut off Rosemary's hand, but failed and accidentally gave her a cut on her hand. Rosemary looked down at the hand. She looked like she wanted to kill the inspector, but that wasn't the case. She saw something in her hand. Her eyes widened. She realized she was holding a small pendant. And that's when she clutched at her head. She managed to free Inspector and Dirge from the horrible torment. It looked like Rosemary was in torment. Ben walked over. Dirge was too busy clutching at his eye. Ben, all of a sudden, came over at Rosemary. Rosemary, listen to me. Why are you upset? Talk to me, he said calmly. She looked up at him, held out something of a pendant. Ben looked at this. Is that? This is Mother's locket. She never had it on her when she died. He opened the locket, and there he saw himself and his siblings smiling like they used to be. In the inscription it said, "To my beloved children, I always loved you. Love, Mother." Ben's hand trembled as he clutched the locket. He put his arms around Rosemary and said, "I'm sorry. I was looking all over for this. I never knew you had it." "I know you missed that locket so much. I realize he didn't bury her with that locket. She always treasured it, didn't she?" Rosemary said. Ben pulled away. Yes, she always did. She never took it off. He looked at the locket and said, "Thank you." However, the inspector cried out, "Why don't that bitch manage to finish where she started? Why doesn't she finish me off?" Rosemary looked like she was going to. However, a voice cried out, "Don't do it. You don't know what you're doing. Just please, leave him be. This isn't the best way." Rosemary looked around.
Lola? Show yourself. I know you're out there. It's time for a little payback.
No, listen to me. This isn't the way to do it, okay? Just leave him. Leave the inspector. Leave him to us, okay? Let us do our job. This isn't the way to go if you want things to end badly. Rosemary realized this. Then, with one hard kick to the inspector's stomach, she leaned over at him and said,
I hope you enjoy your disappointment at the hands of Evermore's agents. I'll be dealing with you next time, and the next time we meet, it won't be so fair.
Then she walked off. But however, she said,
Ben, take care. We'll meet again soon. And finally, we'll be reunited as a family.
Then she turned and she dashed away. Ben and Taylor managed to get out of there. However, as soon as they left, there was a big explosion coming from another building that collapsed on its own. Ben and Taylor managed to flee from there, wondering what the heck was going on. Soon, other buildings were collapsing. They were all warehouses, but Ben couldn't understand what was going on until they reached a clearing of a path with trees. However, Ben tripped and fell. Same with Taylor. The two of them looked up, and there she was, Barrere Devlin. Benjamin Hallows, I never thought I would catch up to you. I finally found you at long last, she confirmed. Now those two were in big trouble. Or were they? Yep, to be continued. But we got more coming your way. I'm Catherine Donovan. See you next time.